Hello everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. Don't have my usual setup here, but I'm gonna have to do have a few minutes. I want to talk to you about the four stocks I'm currently buying. I'm still eyeing a bunch of other things, but I want to kind of show you as to why I am still allocating funds into these four stocks here. The first one is TIGR. I like TIGR because of a few things. Because it is showing us some really great potential here. This is the monthly chart. And we can see it here is that the monthly chart is showing a rising 20-month moving average, which tells us that the trend has really flipped from negative here to positive. And on top of that, you also have the Bollinger Band expanding to the upside and to the downside. That tells us that there's a lot of impulsivity and volatility to allow the price to go up higher over time. Now, you did have this big giant wick up here above back in October 2024 that got rejected here at 0.618, 0.5. And the reason why we really couldn't go up that much higher at that point was because we simply just haven't had that monthly Bollinger Band expansion. And right now it's happening. After about 8-9 months later, we have the Bollinger Band expansion. And I think we're going to keep on having these kind of candle bodies to really fill this wick up here. And once we get to 0.618, that's going to be another resistance level. And then on top of that, once we get closer to the cloud here, you can see you already had two rejection here off of the Ichimoku cloud, right? Rejection number one, rejection number two. And I think once we get there again, the more you test it, I think the more likelihood we're going to end up breaking above and breaking in, especially since the Bollinger Band is finally expanding enough for us to really enter. Now, because of this big giant wick over here in October 2024, the Tenkan and Kijun, the red and blue line up here, has been risen because this wick over here was counted when the blue and the red line here is being calculated. So you end up having these as resistance right now, and this actually gives me a unique opportunity to continue to DCA into this stock. When I try to buy something, I don't try to just buy everything all at once. I try to scale in, and this really gave me a unique opportunity because it's still underneath resistance at 0.5 and the Tenkan and the Kijun, but it's also experiencing rising 20-month moving average and an expanding Bollinger Band. This is a bull trend that's given me some time to buy more. So that's why I like TIGR. I'm probably about 80% done with my accumulation here. And if it continues to give me another month or two to continue to accumulate, that'd be great. If it runs away from me, then that's okay. I probably end up stop buying if it's getting above the 0.5 here. It's kind of what I'm thinking with this one. The second one that I've been buying that I have relatively decent conviction on is Rivian. Now, Rivian has shown me some behavior here even before the recent breakout. Rivian has shown me some pretty decent bullish divergence here on the monthly now. Granted, the RSI is in the 20s and 30s. It didn't really mean anything when they have bullish divergence when RSI is that low. But it's been building up bullish divergence here for a very long time, and is finally starting to play out here by forming a really decent rounded bottom type look here. You can also see that it's reclaiming the blue line of Tenkan here on the monthly as support. It is also reclaiming the 20-month moving average is from negative sloping resistance here right now to potentially as support, right? With Bollinger Band kind of squeeze here a little bit, maybe getting ready for a very decent trend change here. Now, looking at a lower time frame, look at the weekly. This also gives me a neat opportunity because I don't really want to just buy everything all at once. I want to try and scale in. And when I see this look here, I see again rejected here out of the Ichimoku cloud. I don't think it's ready to run quite just yet. And it gives me more opportunity to buy because I think it's getting stuck here in the cloud for a little while. And it's exactly what it ended up doing. Right now, it got rejected at the top of the cloud and finally supported at the bottom of the cloud. It's been stuck in range, right? We're getting potentially ready. If it just goes sideways, we'll be outside the cloud. And that usually is a bullish indication, together with the higher time frame reclaiming of the Tenkan, together with the higher time frame reclaiming of the 20-month moving average. Even though it's still slightly negative sloping here, but I think the more time we spend sideways here, the more likely it's going to end up being flat and being good support to really push price up higher over time. And looking at this, I still think that I'm early, and I still think I have time to accumulate. Right now, I'm probably about 70%. 60-70% into my accumulation here, and I like where Rivian is at right now, so I'm going to continue to try to accumulate this as much as I can. The third stock that I find to be pretty bullish is GLXY Digital, ticker symbol GLXY. The reason why is I generally look at these things, if you're at the cusp of breaking out of this 0.76 fib here, usually higher time frame, if it breaks about that, you have a good possibility of basically pushing up to above the previous high, right? I mean, it's not all-time high, but I like all this stuff over here is kind of junk anyway. I think that if it breaks about the 0.76, there's a good chance we push it all-time high, and there's a good chance that some of the higher targets up here would get hit. And I think that even though I'm a little bit late, when it comes to accumulation, they also didn't really get listed on the Nasdaq. I generally don't like to buy over-the-counter stocks. I still think that there is a good chance for you to accumulate. The reason why I think is because it's still underneath 0.76 resistance, and the more I chop underneath of it, the more shares I'll be able to get, and happier that I would be, right? Look at a couple of other indicators. 20-month moving average, really flipping negative, slipping to positive, slipping, been tested it multiple times, finding great support. Why did we have a hard time breaking about the 0.76? Because we simply haven't had the Bollinger Band expansion to allow us to really push through. Right now, we are starting to have a little bit of Bollinger Band expansion here on the upper part of it to finally allow us maybe to push through the 0.76 here in the foreseeable future, although I would prefer it not to yet. The Ichimoku cloud is also showing you that, hey, maybe I have more time to accumulate here. Even though it's been higher highs, higher lows, it's been a bull trend, very nice V-shaped recovery, very nice cup and handle type formation here. It looks like we want to break about the 0.76, but we're having a hard time. Why? Because it's a very, very strong resistance level, because the monthly Bollinger Band hasn't expanded quite just yet, and also because we haven't really broken about the monthly Ichimoku cloud here quite just yet. We did have some after-hour news, and it did end up closing a lot, ended up having price a lot higher after hours, but we're still at resistance. I'm still hopeful that I get to accumulate more. And what kind of range I'm looking at? I'm looking at, if it continue to get rejected up here, then anywhere from like $17 and, $14, $15 would be great buys to me. Obviously, it can always go back down to 0.618 here down again. Obviously, it can always go back down to the bottom of the cloud here again, right? I see that as low probability because that has already happened. It's not zero, but I see that as low probability, which makes me comfortable dollar cost averaging into this stock right around here. Again, because I think we're at the cusp of a huge breakout, and because we're underneath resistance, I just want to slowly scale, and I don't want to buy all at once, just in case it ends up coming back down, back test some other things, build up more energy before going through. I won't be underwater too much, right? I don't really like to buy at resistance, but this is a good setup here for longer term, so that's why I'm buying into it. Now, the last one I have a lot less conviction in is RXRX. Why do I have less conviction in? Well, because it hasn't really shown me higher highs and higher lows quite just yet. The only thing I really have to kind of hang my hat on when it comes to RXRX is the volume. The volume is telling me that maybe something interesting here is going on, because if I look at the volume, you can see how it's been huge recently. The volume has just been absolutely huge whenever you have this big up and down volatility. There's a lot of stocks here being traded hands, and I'm not going to show you, but if you look at fintel.io, institutions are accumulating RXRX. There's huge accumulation with while price is dropping down. That tells me that this could be the spring that is needed for this stock to really finally trade from weak hand to strong hand. And that this is kind of maybe what we're experiencing here on a bit of a Wyckoff type distribution thing, and that we could be nearing the spring. So because of that, I'm comfortable, continue DCA into a small position. This is not going to be a large position of mine unless if it decides that it wants to grow and just takes over my portfolio. But right now, I have this is a low conviction play. I'm really buying it because of the volume, because I think this could be a spring. And currently, I'm a little bit underwater. I think I'm like maybe 20-25% underwater right now, right? But if I really sense that if the spring is not working out, I might exit this position and scale into something else that's stronger. And those three other stocks I was showing you, I have higher conviction in, then they're just a lot stronger. Usually, I like to try and identify a falling knife and I try to catch it. This is one of those that I'm trying to catch right now, even though low conviction, small position, right? That's how it's supposed to work. when you're seeing low highs and low lows, even if you're bullish on the volume. Anyway, those are the four stocks that I'm currently buying. I hope you guys enjoy a video like this, and you guys have a good one. Bye.